Hello everyone, welcome to this week's news video. We are in the Easter season, and wasn't Easter Day wonderful last Sunday as we came together to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus? And in this Easter season, as we look forward to Pentecost when the Spirit is poured out, we remember how we're called to walk out that resurrection in a world that often is marked more by death than life, more by darkness than light, more by hopelessness than hope. And so we're called to walk out in a prophetic way, like a picture, the life that Christ has given us through his death and resurrection. Well, living out lives full of hope in a very difficult and hopeless situation is what much of the Bible story is about. And particularly when we turn to the Old Testament, we discover that God raises up prophets, men and women, who were called to speak life into their situation. Often they came at times of political and social turmoil where people had turned away from God. And so their message is both a reminder of the reality of the consequences of our rebellion against God. It leads towards death, but also the promise of God's faithfulness. He is always a God of life who comes, and in his love, he invites us to turn around, to repent, and he brings good news. So in the midst of judgment, there is hope. And we're going to be discovering about that as we look into a new sermon series, which we've called Minor Prophets, Major Topics. Because what we call today the minor prophets in the Old Testament, those that you find at the end of the Old Testament, speak into their world. They invite people to change. They invite the people of God to embrace his ways and once again to know life. So this Sunday in our services, we're going to be looking at the first of those prophets, Hosea, who was called to embody the message himself in the way that he lived. We'll discover that this Sunday as we look at it. In a radical way, he was called to actually embody the message. But of course, that points forward. In fact, all these prophets point forward to the ultimate conquering of death and the offering of life through the death and resurrection of Jesus. So there we go. This coming Sunday series at 9 o'clock and 10:30 then French Connect. And then we're going to be listening to witnesses at Create who have discovered their voice and ways in which they can live out their calling in the world. And we're going to be starting this coming Sunday at Create by listening to Mike Dixon as he talks to us on the theme of what it is to really be human and to be made in God's image. Great stuff. So this Sunday we're looking forward to that. And then of course we've got Alpha beginning next week. If you've never done Alpha before, come. And if you know people that you can invite, please invite them and sign up so that we can explore the meaning of life together. So we look forward to seeing you this Sunday and wish you a really good and hopeful weekend. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.